One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. Is it working?
about to get started. Everything okay? Oh, perfect. Grab some and then grab them, and then as soon as you get over that one, we'll get started. Good. I'm glad. I've been thinking about it. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Michael Nunes. I am the Student Life Coordinator for LGBTQ+ services here at UCF. My pronouns are he, him, and his. As much as I enjoy being here with you, this memorial is an event that I wish I did not have to do. Sometimes it's hard to see the silver lining in the face of senseless tragedy. 49 lives were taken in one night, in what has become a historical night that we all wish we did not have to witness. 49 people who went out to Pulse to enjoy a night of joy within the community, whose light was snuffed out by hate. Just as we mourn our loved ones individually, the LGBTQ+ community collectively mourns those who were taken from us. We are in an unenviable position of being alive to mourn the dead. In a situation where there are no winners, we have to mourn the dead and fight like hell for the living. When hate seems to build all around our community, we must find the silver lining, no matter how small or faint, within tragedy. My silver lining is the obligation to be here, with you for the 6th time. This horror was a call to action, a call to arms. The clouds are still here, and I can see the silver lining because of the people I have here with me. From Pulse, we have come together as a community, not just as the LGBTQ+ community, but as the city of Orlando. We have shown the world that we will not let hate win, even when it takes our lives and protests our funerals. Hate has galvanized us and shown us how strong we really are, and how openly and freely we need to spread love, joy, and support. I hate what hate has done to us, but I am proud of the overwhelming love that we can share today for those of us who no longer can. I would like to welcome to the podium Nicole Henry from the Pride Faculty and Staff Association.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Henry, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the newly appointed Vice President of the Pride Faculty and Staff Association here at the University of Central Florida. I was asked by our President, Angela Warnsize, to speak to you tonight about our organization, what we do, and why our advocacy work is so important. As a caution, I'll be sharing my thoughts about what Remembering Pulse means to our community and its connection to current events. Please take care while listening. PFSA is one of several employee resource groups, or ERGs, that signifies UCF's goal to intentionally be more inclusive and diverse. Our mission is to promote an environment that fosters cultural sensitivity, belonging, and enrichment by providing quality programming, networking opportunities, and guidance to UCF faculty, staff, and students located on every campus who identify as part of the queer community. We work closely with LGBTQ services to offer the Alliance Mentoring Program, or AMP, every academic year, which connects our employee membership base with students of all ages who are looking for guidance and trusted advice in areas such as professional development and personal growth. We also serve as a resource for UCF administration, specifically in 3 key areas of interest: education, advocacy, and outreach to local partners like the Zebra Coalition and the One Pulse Foundation. On June 12, 2016, a horrific tragedy occurred at Pulse nightclub on Latin night, wherein 49 people were killed, 68 more were injured, and countless others were permanently affected by one man's premeditated decision. It is the deadliest incident in the history of violence against LGBTQ people in the United States, as well as the deadliest terrorist attack in our country since 9/11. We are gathered 6 years later to preserve the legacy of those 49 precious lives taken from us, and to show our support for their families and friends, for the survivors of that night, and for the first responders who helped bring fleeing patrons to safety and provided aid to those who were injured. We are here to remember how we, as neighbors, came together in an outpouring of strength and compassion, showing the world that our city and this metropolitan area would not be paralyzed by fear of the present, nor by hate. For the LGBTQIA+ community, remembering Pulse will always bring a feeling of deep sorrow, but that sorrow is also accompanied by a feeling of great hope for the future, a future in which love is accepted for being just that, love. I was fortunate enough to have visited Pulse numerous times, the last of which was in February of 2016, just 4 months before the tragedy occurred. When I remember Pulse, it means I'm remembering my own journey through other cherished Orlando safe spaces like Southern Nights, Stonewall Bar, and the soon-to-be Phoenix, risen from the ashes, Parliament, or, as I know it, P House. Pulse not only played an intimate part in my own self-discovery, but in the aftermath of the mass shooting, it gave me momentum to speak out in a way that was uniquely different than I had before. It gave me an urgent call to action. The theme of this year's Pulse Remembrance Week is unity. Unity is a whole or totality as combining all its parts into one. Unification, the absence of diversity, unvaried or uniform in character. The absence of diversity is certainly not applicable to the queer community. In fact, we rise to that challenge and outshine it for the better. While we strive to speak with one voice, we possess an endlessly evolving recognition of our own identities, expressions, and orientations. Amongst my descriptors, I list ally. I do this because I only know what it's like to be me. For example, I do not know what it's like to be a gay man who survived the AIDS epidemic of the 1980s and 90s and lost friends and companions to the disease, nor a partner in a same-sex couple trying to raise children in the state of Florida, given this current climate, nor a trans man or woman trying to navigate healthcare and receive vital services that allow me to be my authentic self at an affordable cost. Being an advocate for my brothers and sisters in the LGBTQIA+ family means that I'm making a conscious effort to be aware and empathetic. More than 30 years ago, law professor Kimberly Crenshaw used the term intersectionality to describe how race, class, gender, and other individual characteristics intersect with one another and overlap. Because of her, I think not only about race in relation to gender, but about skin color, national origin, ancestry, citizenship status and religion, as well as ethnicity, age, generation, genes, and ability. About whether a person has served our country, about the needs and responsibilities that they may have as a spouse, parent, or caregiver, their culture, and how else they define their imperfectly perfect selves. There is not a more crucial time to focus on unity than right now. And while we abdicate for ourselves and each other, we must also abdicate for others. The hate crime that killed 10 people, almost all of whom were Black, in Buffalo, New York, the anti-Asian shooting that left 3 Korean women wounded in a hair salon in Dallas, Texas, the gunman who killed 19 children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas, of which Latino and Hispanic residents make up 72.7% of the county's population. To our friends and colleagues in the Black Faculty and Staff Association, or BFSA, the Latino Faculty and Staff Association, LaFASA, and the Women's Network of Florida through the American Council on Education, or ACE, as well as to our students in the Asian Pacific American Coalition, or APAC, and UCF's other various collegiate minority-affiliated organizations. We see you, and we are here to listen to you. We are here to bear witness to the attacks you've suffered, both recently and in the past, and to advocate for policy and change so that no community experience losses like these again. Please let us know how we can help you. In closing, I want to share just one more thought with you, a hypothetical concept called an absolute point. An absolute point is a defining, significant moment in time that cannot be changed. No matter what actions could have been taken differently or how many details could have been altered in hindsight, the impact of the event still is the same, still is inevitable. For Orlando and for so many people locally, regionally, and across the country, Pulse is an absolute point in time that we cannot go back and change, no matter how much we may want to. This fact leaves us with only a single but simple option: to ask several hard questions of ourselves. What are we meant to become because Pulse happened? What is our purpose now? What would the 49 angels be doing today? What good would they be giving to the world? And what dreams would they be making into reality? I think if we can answer those questions, then we have a chance at creating that great future I mentioned, filled with hope, resolve, and acceptance. Thank you.
Don't think of them as gone away. Their journey's just begun. Life holds so many facets. This earth is only one. Just think of them as resting from the sorrows and the tears in a place of warmth and comfort where there are no days and years. Think how they must be wishing that we could know today how nothing but our sadness can really pass away. And think of them as living in the hearts of those they touched, for nothing loved is ever lost, and they were loved so much. A modified poem by Ellen Brenneman. Good evening. I'm Dr. Andrea Guzman. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and ella, and I serve as the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at the University of Central Florida. Today we gather to remember and celebrate the lives of 49 individuals who were tragically killed at Pulse nightclub 6 years ago. I chose the poem I opened with because so often when we commemorate the lives of people that have passed away, we focus on their death, on the fact that they are no longer here. But as the poem eloquently states, their journey's just begun. In fact, it began on June 12th, 2016. The journey to bring people together as allies and advocates of the LGBTQ+ community. The journey toward inclusion and acceptance. The journey to transform Orlando, our state, the nation, and even the world by making love louder and defeating hate. At times, it may seem as if progress is nowhere near sight. Every time we scroll through social media or read the news, the story of another mass shooting, another hate crime or tragedy comes up. You may think, when will it ever end? We're in front of the reflecting pond, a place where many come to reflect and ponder and even celebrate. It's absolutely stunning when the sun or the moon reflects from it. But did you know that it was once a murky, mud-filled pit that no one reflected upon? It's hard to imagine when you look at it now. Just as hard as it is to imagine that from such a horrific tragedy we can find hope and motivation. As each name is called out this evening, reflect on the journey that began in their honor 6 years ago. The students who received scholarships in their names, or those who bravely came out the closet and proudly embraced their truth. Those who had never engaged with the LGBTQ+ community and suddenly felt empathy and deep desire to join the fight for justice and human rights. Or the birth of a national memorial. Reflect on how the Pulse shooting changed you, how it fueled your own passion to serve others, how it motivated you to speak up and do more. Reflect on what else you could be doing. As each of the names are called, remember, don't think of them as gone away. Their journeys have just begun. Think of them as living in the hearts of those they touched. On June 12, 2016, 49 angels began a new journey, and we owe it to them to have the courage to keep fighting for a world without hate, but instead full of compassion and love for one another. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Alex Maldonado. My pronouns are she, they, and ella.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I would like to introduce myself as Sierra Torado. My pronouns are she and they.
We will now commence in reading the names of those lost.
Stanley Almodovar III.
Amanda L. Alvear.
Oscar A. Aracena Montero.
Rodolfo Ayala Ayala.
Antonio Devon Brown.
Daryl Roman Burt II.
Angel Candelario Padro.
Juan Chavez Martinez.
Luis Daniel Gondi.
Corey James Connell.
Tevin Eugene Crosby.
Dianca Deidre Drayton.
Simon Adrian Carrillo Fernandez.
Leroy Valentin Fernandez.
Mercedes Marisol Flores.
Peter Omi Gonzalez Cruz.
Juan Ramon Guerrero.
Christopher Andrew Linonen.
Paul Terrell Henry.
Frank Hernandez.
Miguel Angel Anrato.
Javier Jorge Reyes.
Jason Benjamin Josephat.
Eddie Jomoldroy Justice.
Anthony Luis Loreno Tisla.
Alejandro Barrios Martinez.
Brenda Marquez Miku.
Gilberto R. Silva Menendez.
Kimberly Jean Morris.
Akira Monet Murray.
Luis Omar Ocasio Capo.
Geraldo A. Ortiz Jimenez.
Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera.
Joel Rayon Paniagua.
Jean Carlos Menez Perez.
Enrique L. Rios Jr.
Jean Carlos Nieves Rodriguez.
Xavier Emmanuel Serrano Rosado.
Christopher Joseph Sanfeliz.
Ilmari Rodriguez Solivan.
Edward Sotomayor Jr.
Shane Evan Tomlinson.
Martin Benitez Torres.
Jonathan A. Camuy Vega.
Juan Pablo Rivera Velázquez.
Luis Sergio Vielma.
Frankie Jimmy de Jesus Velázquez.
Luis Daniel Wilson Leon.
Gerald Arthur Wright. We would like you all to join us in a moment of silence in recognition for those lost. Thank you. We would like to now welcome to the stage Barbara Poma, the founder of the One Pulse Foundation.
Good evening, everyone. I am Barbara Poma, the founder of One Pulse Foundation and the owner of the Pulse nightclub. Thank you all for being here this evening to honor the 49 angels and their families and pay tribute to the survivors, brave first responders, and everyone impacted by the Pulse tragedy of June 12, 2016. This is the Pulse 6-year Remembrance Week, and it started on Saturday with our community rainbow run and ends on Sunday, June 12th at 7 p.m. with the Pulse annual Remembrance ceremony, which takes place at the Pulse Inter Memorial, and we hope that you'll join us there. The theme of this week is unity, and it's a reminder of how Orlando and the world came together in love following the tragedy. The word unity is also one of the 6 words that came out of our community survey when people were asked how they wanted to feel when visiting the memorial. Pulse nightclub, which was established in 2004, was embraced by the global LGBTQ+ community for the club's culture of love and providing a safe space where everyone could be themselves and be proud to bring their families. The story of Pulse is the story of all of us. A diverse community drawn to an exuberant gay club in Orlando. It was family, home, joy, belonging, and so much more. It was friendship, compassion, bravery, and love. It's the story of how each of us is shaped by experiences of belonging, of being part of a family, a community, a group that has real meaning to us. And it's the story how each of us navigates the opportunities and obstacles, the defeats and the victories that shape a lifelong journey of becoming our fullest selves. A single human story, one shared pulse, with 8 billion individual variations. One Pulse Foundation was created to establish the sanctuary of healing and an inspiration of hope by memorializing the lives taken, the lives saved, and all the lives affected by the Pulse nightclub tragedy, ensuring that Pulse's legacy of love would live on forever. Our mission is to create and support a memorial that opens hearts, a museum that opens minds, educational programs that open eyes, and legacy scholarships that open doors. Our goal with educational programming is to celebrate how we are more alike than different. And we do this through courageous conversations, film screenings, presentations, and trainings that promote acceptance and inclusion for disenfranchised communities. Just a few weeks ago, we announced the third class of 49 recipients of our legacy scholarships that honor our 49 angels, and we awarded them $328,000 in scholarships to be used in the 2022 and 2023 academic year. Since 2020, a total of $897,000 has been awarded through the three classes of recipients. Working with the families and loved ones of those killed, One Pulse Foundation established these scholarships based on the victims' interests, careers, or aspirations. As an extension of their impact on our world, the scholarships will inspire and empower students who share similar dreams, ambitions, and goals. 3 family members, 2 survivors, and 2 first responders, and 15 returning legacy scholars from the 2 previous classes were awarded this year. The third class represents incoming freshmen majoring in business, communications, and the performing arts, as well as cosmetology, nursing, medical, and master's students. They come from all over the United States and have a common thread of service, leadership, and advocacy. We are proud to say that 5 of our recipients are students here at UCF. People often ask, what drives us in fulfilling the mission of our pillars, which are the National Pulse Museum and Memorial, the Orlando Health Survivors Walk, 49 legacy scholarships and educational programs. This tragedy is part of our community's history, part of our nation's history, and part of world history. People want to pay respect and people want to learn. They want to know what happened there, and they should. We don't want it forgotten or erased for future generations. We are here tonight to stand with the families of those whose lives were tragically taken and to honor everyone who survived and the brave first responders who sacrificed so much to save so many. We come together as a symbol of strength and solidarity in the face of tragedy, forever proving that we will not let hate win. That is the power of unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you for everything you continue to do through the One Pulse Foundation. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to thank all of you for being here this evening, gathering together at this important event. Later you'll hear from our UCF alumnus, Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith, so thank you to him for also joining us. 6 years after this terrible tragedy, we continue to gather in love and compassion to celebrate the lives of those we lost and to prove that violence and hate do not win in the end. We gather here in unity, people of different backgrounds, cultures, beliefs, and identities, unified in our desire for acceptance, compassion, and respect for all. I wasn't here when the tragedy at Pulse nightclub unfolded, but watching from New York, I was deeply moved to see how this community came together to support one another, the families of the lost and the LGBTQ+ community, not just in the days after, but in the months and years that followed. Now, as a member of this community, I see the true heart of it every day. This community, both the UCF community and the Central Florida community, is a role model for showing care and compassion to each other and doing that every day, for extending support to those who need it, and for lifting one another up. For UCF, this wasn't just an attack that happened in our community. It happened to us when we lost a student and an alumnus. You heard their names read aloud a few minutes ago, but Drew Leinanen and Juan Ramon Guerrero will never be forgotten. I know most of you know this, but there's a Pulse Memorial mural outside the Student Union that features Drew and Juan. It is a beautiful reminder how Knights come together in good times and bad. As an institution, UCF is absolutely committed to a culture of inclusive excellence that welcomes, respects, celebrates, and supports every student, faculty, staff, and community member who engages with us. We unleash the potential in every individual. We will continue building a culture of compassion, respect, and care, embracing differences, celebrating differences, and gaining strength from them. We will continue finding ways to encourage productive discourse, more inclusive practices, and elevating the voices of the underrepresented. And we will do this as Knights. As we always face any great challenges, we will do it together. And we will face it all together. Thank you so much. And at this time, I would actually like to ask Michael to come up as we go to our next main part of this.
At this
Yes, I want you to sit.
At this moment, we're going to be starting the lighting of Millican Hall. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome to the podium Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to UCF, to the social justice and advocacy, to LGBTQ plus services, and to Pride Faculty and Staff Association for hosting this really important remembrance. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on the tragedy that happened 6 years ago and to remember the 49 angels taken at Pulse nightclub on June 12th, 2016. Thank you for taking the time to remember our two eternal Knights, Juan Ramon Guerrero and Drew Leinanen. Both Knights, both young gay men who were just happy and in love with each other, senselessly taken by gun violence. Their likeness is beautifully portrayed in the Pulse mural, as President Cartwright mentioned, just outside the Student Union. A mural painted with so much love and kindness by artists Michael Pilato and Yuri Karabash, who used art to help us all heal after the tragedy at Pulse. Orlando knows how to find power in pain. We learn the consequences of homophobia and transphobia. That's why, as I heard someone say recently, diversity and inclusion, D&I, is part of our DNA in Orlando and at UCF. We celebrate it. Some outside Central Florida and in Tallahassee, they don't like diversity and inclusion. They want us to unlearn the consequences of bigotry. But we will not let hate win. Every year we come together as a community to recommit to honoring the 49 with action. And every year we mean it. But this year, after Buffalo, after Uvalde, something feels different. The mood has changed, not just here, but nationally, across America. I think maybe people have woken up to the idea that things don't have to be this way. Maybe we don't have to live in a world where anyone can legally purchase an AR-15 and all the endless large capacity magazine rolls that go with it, and then walk into a nightclub or a school or a grocery store or a movie theater or a university or anywhere and inflict the type of unspeakable horror that some have grown numb to. The violence that shatters our communities. I don't want to live in that world. Orlando has learned the consequences of living in that world, as well as so many other communities that have joined us. This time might be different, and that gives me hope. The One Orlando Alliance asks that we honor them with action, but that we honor them with love and through giving to others as well. Act, love, give. Act by reaching out to your state representative, your state senator, your member of Congress. Tell them you support universal criminal background checks for guns and ammunition, safer gun storage laws, and expanded red flag laws that keep guns out of the hands of people who are a threat to themselves or others. Love by praying for peace and tolerance and acceptance, by hugging a stranger. Give by volunteering for an organization that helps homeless teens, or better yet, donate your money to them. Zebra Coalition in Orlando does amazing work providing transitional housing to homeless LGBTQ youth, and they need our support. Really just be kind. Be good to yourself and to others, and do your part to help build a world that the 49 angels would be proud of. And when you see the Rainbow Pulse ribbon that so many of us wear, let it remind you of what is really important. Life, love, and equality for all. Charge on.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Smith, and all who have offered words for the call to action to honor the 49 lives taken. My name is Justin Andrade, he, him, él, Director of Social Justice and Advocacy. As we close, I want to take a moment to highlight how special and important our annual Pulse Remembrance is to UCF and the Orlando community. We would like to thank our invited speakers, our UCF Knights for saying the names of the 49 angels, the Office of Student Involvement for their partnership in lighting Millican Hall in fabulous rainbow for the week, but especially to Michael Nunes, our LGBTQ plus services coordinator, for for organizing the Remembrance tonight and this week's UCF Remembers schedule. Please check out our social media for a full list of UCF and community opportunities for the remainder of the week at LGBTQ services_UCF. Have a good night, and thank you for joining us as UCF Remembers Pulse today and always. Thank you.